Hello friends, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making grilled chicken and cheese sandwiches. So everything we're going to use, you're going to see on my counter right now to make these grilled chicken and cheese sandwiches. This is basically going to be the concept of taking a grilled cheese sandwich and adding chicken to it to make a grilled sandwich. There's going to be three kinds of cheese we're using: mozzarella, provolone, and American cheese. And really just some seasoning, some butter, bread, and chicken to actually accomplish what we're doing. The best thing about this is once it's done, you're going to have this like really amazing sandwich that has a crunch when you bite into the outside of the bread, because once you grill that bread, it's going to go like golden brown and just it's going to have the best taste because you're infusing the butter into the bread. Plus, you're going to have some great tasting chicken and multiple kinds of cheese just to try to mix it together to make something that has this awesome taste that is a joy to eat. You can pair this up with anything like french fries or whatever you'd like to. So let's get started. Take your chicken and make sure you cut off all the pieces of fat or hard pieces around the chicken that you want to get rid of. Just go ahead and scout that out, because sometimes, there's a lot of fat on these things, or sometimes they even leave a piece of bone in there. So be careful when you're cutting that stuff out, so that way it doesn't end up getting cooked. And then once we get all the fat off of it, we're going to cut this into strips, because the strips are going to go across our sandwich as we're going to cook this up and then add to it later. So basically, just cut decently large pieces of chicken, just going longwise down the chicken, and just cut it until you actually have, probably for a medium breast, you don't really need anything bigger than a medium breast for this, for each one. About 4 strips will do. And you may even have some left over when you're making this, because of the fact that when you're putting it on the bread, it may not actually need all of the strips. And we're going to use Texas toast for this, the kind you can get that's in a loaf of bread, but it's the thickness of Texas toast. So we're going to take our chicken once it's cut and lay it out on our cutting board to where we can season it. And we're going to start off with 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper, and get that coated all the way across. Then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. And then we're going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then finally, about 1/2 teaspoon of chicken seasoning. And this can be any kind of chicken seasoning you want. If you got your favorite kind you want to use, go for it. Because at least that way it's something that you've used before and you like the taste of it. So in our skillet, we are going to go ahead and add at least 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And then we're going to put our chicken into the skillet to cook it. So once you're putting these in, just kind of space them out a little bit, so that way the oil gets around them. And as they cook, we're going to cook these on a medium-high heat, and we're going to turn them a few times as they're cooking just to make sure they cook through. And being that these are thin pieces, it's not going to take forever to cook them, so just check them periodically as you go along to see if you are cooked all the way through. So go ahead and get them all lined up in your pan and get your temperature going so that way it heats up. Because I already had my temperature turned up before I started to put these in, but it will take a second for them to start sizzling and cooking, because once you're putting cold chicken into a warm pan, it doesn't instantly just start cooking. So once this is in here, there's no need to season anymore. You've already got your seasoning on the one side, and once you put this on the sandwich, it's going to work. And some of the seasoning is going to come off in the olive oil. So when you're flipping these back and forth, you're going to end up getting the seasoning throughout the pan anyway. Just a reminder though, flip these things periodically, move them around the pan so they don't try to stick to the pan, and keep going. One good thing about cutting the chicken into strips like this is, as you cook chicken, sometimes it shrinks a little bit in the pan. So being that if we only needed 3 of the strips of chicken to make a sandwich, if you have 4 and it really shrinks up a lot, then you've got plenty to change it out. Now, as you can see with mine, it's gotten to a point to where I'm flipping the chicken, and as you're cooking it, you're going to notice it's going to get that like golden edging on it and everything. That's kind of something we want with the sandwich. We want this to really be cooked and kind of seared a little bit in the pan, so that way it has just a lot of body to it, but it's going to actually tenderize your chicken the longer you cook it here. And as you see, as mine keeps going, I am continuing to flip it to make sure that it gets cooked all the way through. But like I said, being that these are thin, it won't take that long to cook them completely. Now, once your chicken is completely done, we're going to set it to the side. So I already removed mine, and I wiped out my pan, and then I sprayed it with a little bit of non-stick cooking spray, because I have found sometimes when you put the bread in to do the grilling here, it'll try to stick to the pan. Even if it's a non-stick one, it just happens that way. So we're going to take our Texas toast bread, and we're going to spread both sides of it with a decent amount of butter, and then we're going to put them into the pan that we already sprayed with a non-stick cooking spray, and we're going to let this grill and start to get golden brown on one side and flip it before we do anything else to it. So as your bread is in the pan, you're going to want to move it back and forth a little bit. You do not want this sitting for too long in one place in your pan, because I have seen this before where a piece of bread will just glue itself to the bottom of the pan, and it's supposed to be non-stick, who knows. But I always found just err on the side of caution and move that stuff back and forth just to make sure. Now this is going to take a few minutes for this to grill, so it's not going to happen in like 30 seconds. And when it does grill, it'll look a lot like this. So this is what we want, and then we're going to flip it over, and this side we're going to start adding stuff to, so that way as we're adding, the bottom side is grilling as well. So we're going to start out with our cheeses, and basically I put the slice of provolone and then a half a slice of American cheese right in the center of it on the one side, because we're not trying to overpower this with the American cheese. We just want the taste of in this. And once you get that in there, then we're going to put some mozzarella on the other side. And we're basically doing enough to cover the piece of bread. Now mind you, as this cheese is sitting on top of the bread and the bread is grilling on the bottom, the cheese is going to be melting on top, which is perfectly fine. That'll help it hold together when we go to flip it and put it all together as a sandwich. And as the cheese is put on completely and we know that it's ready to roll here, then we're going to start layering our chicken on top. And basically just put as much as will fit in there and stay within the sandwich. If you have extra chicken, you have extra chicken. You can do whatever with. But with mine, it took about 3 strips to fill up the bread. And this is like a really healthy sandwich because you're getting a decently large amount of chicken on the sandwich. Now once that's on there, we're going to take the other piece that has the provolone and the American cheese and turn that over top the chicken. So that way it's lined up properly and it is in the direction it's supposed to be. And we're going to continue to grill and flip these sandwiches over a few times until we see it get to the point where it's really brown on the outside. And this is about medium weight there. We want it to be brown because we want that crispy taste when you bite into the sandwich, because that's half the thrill of this. And the taste of that butter on the outside, it just takes the sandwich to a new height. So keep grilling it, check it from time to time to see how brown it's getting, and when it gets brown enough, flip it over, and it'll look something like this when you're ready to be done. And this is a grilled sandwich, and it has such a nice texture on the outside when you grill it properly. It's not soggy, it's not anything like that you wouldn't want to eat. This just has a great taste, and this is what mine looked like when it was on my plate. And this had the best taste because I just added a little mayo to mine and served it with some french fries, and there you have it. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out my cookbooks, which are available in bookstores worldwide. The first is all about everyday cooking, the second is all about baking. Have a great day.